Hello and welcome, everybody, to your show, The People's Show. Think Big and Be Inspired. Tell us, please, where are you tuning in from? And today we are almost touching like the 70th episode from we started in November, and we're very proud that we are running for 8 months almost, and interviewed a lot of great people that inspired me, myself, and I got a lot of great messages, of course, from our great audience about the show. Today, a very special show. We'll be talking about a man who has great experience in teaching, in making videos about supply chain, about our main topic today, Industry 4.0. Uh, really great experience in the supply chain. One, of course, of my dear friends from Egypt, my country. So, without further introduction, let's introduce our great friend Ahmed Mousa. Ahmed, how are you doing today?
Hi, my friend Ahmed. How are you, brother? How are you doing? Thank you very much. Firstly, I'd like to thank you very much for the kind invitation. I think we know each other for like a long time, and
Yes.
yeah, I have been waiting for this invitation, but it's good. Everything comes on time. So I'd like really to thank you very much for the invitation, and I would like to congratulate you for this amazing show. Really, Think Big and Being Inspired was maybe the first show I have seen once I get in touch, maybe engaged more in LinkedIn, and I really got inspired with your videos and your maybe it was your guests through the sessions you have been through. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Musa. And of course, you've been a lot of, you're like a friend, great friend of the show, of course, and coming always leaving nice comments on the show. So thank you so much and appreciated and really happy also to have you with us on the show. Jimmy Mixer is here with us. Thank you, Jimmy, for joining. And Turan from Turkey. Hello, Ahmed. How are you? I think it's for both of us. Thank you, Turan, for joining. We are both Ahmeds. Abdurazzar Ramul, thank you for joining us. And our friend Olga from Ecuador. Hi, Olga. Thank you, Ola, us also. Uh, Barbo Sangel, of course. Great. Thank you, Barbo, also for joining us. Our dear friend Shadi, of course,
Hi,
from
Shadi.
Egypt. Thank you so much, Shadi, for joining us. Musa, a great career, of course, like I was saying in supply chain. And when did you have a passion? When did you like develop the passion for supply chain? And give us a brief about yourself and teaching in specific, and all these beautiful videos that you make. Tell us about this story.
Wow, that's a complex question, my friend. So let's start with my beginning in supply chain. I would like maybe to maybe I give you some information about myself. Maybe this is maybe is the
Yes.
first time I tell you that I'm actually from another career, from another background, from computer science. It's very
Wow.
strange.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yes, I used to be like software developer. That was my
Wow.
beginning. Yes, and actually that was the door I get into once before we get
Yeah.
to the supply chain. So the first company I used to work for, it was a big leader in the industry in Egypt. So they
Yeah.
hired me as a developer using the system and also to be responsible for the ERP system, the module for the purchasing.
Okay.
So that was the beginning. So they sent me to China to
Wow.
just to be in touch with the Chinese engineers, software engineers, and develop a new software for our product. And then
Yeah.
when I get there, I'm a social by myself, so I get in touch with all people, the engineering department, and I was interested actually in the manufacturing, in the Chinese manufacturing way. So I
Yeah.
get into the factory, and it was strange because they asked me why you get to the assembly line. What do you get to the production line? It's new to
Yeah.
this area. But once I get there, I start to, I get fascinated with the production, and I make some friends. When I get back again to my factory, to my mother company, I told them, listen, we have an opportunity if we can source more components from China for
Yeah.
assembly or produce our products. So they have this idea to build a new supply chain hub in China, and I will
Great.
be the responsible man for building
Wow.
this hub in China. So, before me, there was nothing. There was no company in China. It was the first. The idea was, yes, of course, it was because my visit, of course, and I start to speak Chinese language, by the way,
Yeah. Wow.
in
I
the
was just
sixth
going
month.
to tell you,
Yes,
did you learn
yeah,
Chinese?
yeah. Yeah, I traveled twice, so every time like 3 months, so I start to get some words and some language. But when I get back again to build up this factory, so this company, I start to learn more about the Chinese language. Then I stayed in China for like 7 years, responsible
Wow.
for the sourcing. Yeah, 7 years in China. Yes, responsible for the sourcing, logistics, and quality inspection. And you know what? I had no experience in supply chain whatsoever. I don't have anything related to any background related to supply chain, sourcing, purchasing, how to inspect material, what are the Incoterms, what
Wow.
are the logistics activities, nothing, nothing. So I started in order to be there. I had to learn more about supply chain. And here
Yeah.
comes the learning stage in my life. So I start to learn from one or maybe the biggest organization in supply chain, which is ABIX. I
Yes.
got the CSCB and later on the CBIM. I learned a lot about supply chain activities from end to end, of course. And you know what? I just once I finished my certificates, I start to get passionate about teaching the certificates. But we will get to
Yeah.
that later on. After 7 years in China, I started to, of course, during these years, I spoke the language. Of course, I can talk, I can read, I can, of course, I can understand, but I
That's
cannot write. That was the
yeah,
difficult part,
that's the
writing
stuff.
the
Yeah,
Chinese
writing and the
language.
letters. I know they have like 17 characters or something like that, and seven
Wow,
thousand
no,
something like that, right?
thousands, thousands,
Yeah,
yes, thousands, and
thousands.
we
Yes,
have the
yes.
old one and the new one.
Oh my
Anyway,
God.
it's very complicated one. Yes. After 7 years in China, I got another opportunity to move to another factory, which was Samsung Electronics Egypt. That at that
Great.
time they were building the facility in Egypt to produce TVs, and I got the privilege to be one of their team in supply chain. And again, I started to build up the supply chain, but this time in a Korean working environment. Of course, there
Yeah,
is huge difference between the Chinese and Egyptian one and the Korean one, because the Korean just be having a different philosophy of production, and it's actually somehow like the Japanese one. It's just in time and lean manufacturing. And then
lean. Yeah,
here,
yeah.
here again, I started to learn more. Not learn, I learned before in CSB and CPIM, but now I have
Yes.
the chance to see it
To
myself, to
apply.
implement
Yes.
it. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's it. So I worked for them actually in the supply chain for 5 years. It was very challenging time, very challenging because you see in Egypt we have lots of things at that time were very complicated, including the custom clearance. And imagine just in time in an environment they have no value for the
They
time.
have
It
no
was
value
crazy.
of the time. Yeah, that's a great challenge.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was crazy. When I called the Egyptian supplier, where are the truck? And he said
Uh,
it's on the way. Actually, he's still sleeping in his on his bed. Yes.
yes,
So
yes. The drivers, of course.
so yeah, of course, and we have
Oh my
limitation. We
God.
cannot increase our level of stock, and lots of things actually we have to handle with this strategy. But it was really amazing time to learn about lean manufacturing and applying. And later on, I had another chance, great chance also to work with one of the prestigious universities in Egypt, which is Nile University,
Yeah,
maybe the ranked like number one in research in Egypt. So I'm
yeah,
responsible for many projects, including, of course, implementing ERP system and building the micro. One of the team, of course, building the micro factory. They are building micro factory inside the university to support
wow.
the startups. Yeah, that was
That's a
initiative
great one.
by
Yeah, great initiative. Yeah,
initiative. Yes, with almost totally 100% free support to these startups, and it was sponsored by different government areas.
yeah.
And yeah, that's simply my working experience and the
Wow,
movement I
Musa.
had. Actually, it was by luck. I moved from computer science to supply chain. I was surprised, like you. Say, how can I move like this? But actually, I like traveling. That was one of the reasons I accepted, because I'm going to travel to another country and experience a new culture. And during this time, I've been traveling to many countries in different continents, of course, for supplying and sourcing. That's actually for my working experience. And
That's a great experience, Musa, really. And I didn't know that you stayed in China, and by coincidence, I think you found
I look like
your
Chinese,
passion.
right?
Yeah, I think from staying there 7 years, but really great experience, and of course, it's good that you found your passion and followed it. And everybody, I think, I got inspired by your story, and I believe everybody who's watching us is inspired with the great
Thank you very much.
experience that you have. That's great to know, Musa. Muhammad Assam Hekal also is joining us. Thank you, Muhammad, for joining us. Amazing experience and journey. Yes, I totally agree with you, Muhammad. And we have here Faturam Fatur. Thank you for joining us from Indonesia. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Our friend Carl Sean Watkins, the word, as I always say. Thank you so much, Carl, for joining us. A great friend, of course, Carl, and a lot of
Of
amazing
course,
work
my friend.
he
Yes.
does.
Yes.
Our brother Osama Zaid
Oh,
Bashir, of course,
Osama
joining
in the
us.
house.
Osama is in the house, yes. Thank you, Osama. Of
Okay.
course, a lot of always supportive and great friend. Musa, let's move to teaching. Tell us, how did you get
Okay.
this passion, and
Teaching
is it
was a different
yeah,
experience.
yes, please share with us. Is it a
A totally
talent
different
also,
experience
or
because
you can
you
develop
see,
it by practice?
uh,
Yes.
I never knew that I can be a teacher or instructor someday. You see, even when I finished my bachelor degree, I had a chance actually to teach in a university,
Yeah.
but I turned that offer down. Yeah, and till now I don't know why. But at that time, I didn't know that I can teach. I didn't know that I really like teaching. But I was young. I'm not sure about what I'm going to do. So I got an offer to teach in a university because I had a really a high degree at the university. So, but I didn't down. But you see, later on, I knew later on that I can do it. How I don't know, but there are some things or some ways can maybe direct me to that way. I used to love, and I used to love movies. So,
Yeah.
and actually, yeah, I love lots of movies. I know lots of actors and of course directors and scripts. I can and of course can differentiate between the good one and the bad one. I even start later on to write movie scripts. I have like
Wow.
in my laptop now like six movie scripts and different
Wow.
stories,
We
long
are
stories.
discovering a
Yes,
lot of
I even
talents for you.
oh yeah, I even published one book like 10 years ago. Was
Yeah.
yeah, short stories. I'm
Nice.
fascinated with the stories. Yes. So here comes the will and passion of writing. See, and
Yes.
making up stories. And when we talk about teaching, part of the teaching responsibility is how to convey the message to the audience. And
Yes.
it only can come of course by many tools, including the storytelling.
Storytelling.
It was one of the biggest and most important techniques. You can transfer knowledge to anyone by storytelling. So after gaining my certificates in ABIX, I started to experience my way in teaching, and again I had another good luck. I get to this big and maybe the biggest training center or training service provider in Egypt.
Yeah.
I knock the door. I ask
Yeah.
them, do you need a teacher? Do you need an instructor in supply chain? And
Yeah.
I was really surprised. You know what happened, my friend? They told me, wow, really? You are here? We need someone right now because our instructor just had
Left.
something and now
Yeah.
and he left the course. So yes, you come
Wow.
on time. You see, it was really a very good luck for
Destiny.
me. I got
Destiny. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Usually, when we get to any training service or centers, we go first with the smaller one and then we go to the biggest one. But I was lucky enough to start with the biggest one in the field in Egypt. So, and you see, of course, as usual, the first few minutes is the difficult ones. I was sweating. I was way too
Yeah.
much because I'm teaching supply chain for executive directors in big
Ah, okay. So
companies
not
in Egypt. Yes.
students. Wow. Okay.
Yes, and you know what? One of my former bosses was there. I was teaching him. And my
Wow.
first session ever, I was teaching him, you see.
Yeah,
It was, uh, it was very. I was very nervous at that time. You see, I am
yeah,
teaching to my boss. It was like crazy. You see, uh, but you see, by time it gets better and better by time. So
practice. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely practice, and it's all about trusting yourself. That's what I think about. If you trust, if you have full confidence, if you have full trust in yourself, you can do whatever you couldn't imagine you can do before.
yes. Yes, it's great. Also, you're breaking your fears one by one, and that's great. And as you said, it was destiny. You just knocked the door, and you found the opportunity coming your way, and you took it. And that's great,
And
Musa. That's,
talking about opportunity, my friend, talking about
yeah.
opportunity, I would like to highlight one thing. You see, sometimes we say you are a lucky man, right? But luck comes only to who deserves, and that's what I
Yes, you
believe.
did.
You see,
Quite right.
I
Yes,
knocked every door I could. I never turned down any offer except the first one was teaching in that university. I turned
yes,
that down, but later on I learned from my experience. So whenever anyone asks me, "Can you do it?" Yeah, I will not say no for granted. I will say yes, I can, and I
and
will
you
try my
learn on the
best
way.
to be
Yes,
able to do it. Exactly,
yes.
exactly. That's behavior actually opened for me too many doors.
That's great, of course, Musa. This is the you have to take risk, take and believe in yourself, and this is how you grow and deliver results. So Osama Zaid is dropping the mic. Yes, Osama.
Wow,
Thank
Sam.
you, Osama.
Thank you, Sam.
So Musa, of
So
course, let's talk
later on,
about your yeah,
I
yeah. Go
moved
ahead,
from
tell me.
teaching from native Arabic speaker because of course
Yeah,
I'm Egyptian. My native language is
yes,
Arabic. So I had the second step was teaching in another language, English, and I'm not English
Chinese.
native speaker. No, it is not my second. It is my third. You see,
Yeah.
and
So maybe
it
you will
was
see you
very
teaching
challenging.
in Chinese soon, Musa. This is the your next
Is it
challenge.
so? It was embarrassing at the beginning because you see teaching itself is not that easy. You see because when you
Yes.
get in front of an of audience, nowadays with Zoom a little bit better. You see, but before Zoom we get into
Yeah, I
class. We
wanted to
see
tell
like
you. Yeah, I wanted
yeah.
to ask you this: is it easier to teach online or to teach live in front of people and interact with people? What do you think? What's
Well,
easier?
well, it has its pros and cons. One of the pros, you are not in front of a class. I mean, because if you are in front of your class, you have to take care of every single part in your body, your
Yeah,
eye, your movement, your body
yeah,
language. You see,
yeah.
your hand, the way you look at the audience, and the
Yes,
presentation, and you have to think and focus more too much in the content. Of course, that's maybe you don't have it in the Zoom, but on the
yeah,
other side, in Zoom, it's not that easy to transfer knowledge, information to the
yeah.
audience. It really takes time and effort because you're still not sure if the audience really got the message or not. You see,
Yes,
because before in the class, simply you can look in his eyes and you can
yes,
understand if he understood or not. Now
yes.
it's
You're
very
right.
difficult.
You're right. I think yeah, each one has its pros and cons, especially also when going online. Anything happens, any glitches, and they cannot hear you. You get nervous.
Yeah,
I know. I tried
absolutely.
also teaching online for some time. It has its pros and cons. But even if you get what I like, if you get from one person or two person, even that they got value, it gives you a sense of fulfillment. I think you, of course, with your years of teaching, you felt this sense of fulfillment and delivering for people important, teaching them important certificates like CSCP and CPIM. Great,
Well,
great.
let me tell you one information, maybe not shared before.
Yeah,
I think I'm the only one. I am the only one in Egypt who is recognized in a instructor in CSB, CBIM, and CLTD. These are the three major certificates in ABIX. I'm the only one who are
yeah,
recognized instructors, and thanks God for this gift. I can teach, I think, not only in Egypt now, in over the world, because once you are
great.
recognized, you can work with ABIX partners everywhere.
That's great, Musa. Of course, that's so good of you, of course, and great effort. And it's great to know that of course, and we have here with us great master in teaching. Anybody, of course, have any questions, and highly recommended, of course, if you need to
Thank you,
pass and
brother.
get great grades in CPIM, CSCP, and CLTD, right? Also, you're teaching
Exactly.
CLTD, yeah? Yeah, yeah. Great, Musa. So let's move to our great topic, and that I've seen from you great videos on industry revolutions and industry 4.0. Tell us what was the shape of industry before all these revolutions, and how did this start, this terminology of the revolutions and all that?
Well, let me explain one thing before we start. Lots of people think when we talk about industry, it's only for engineers, for
Yeah,
manufacturing, yeah, for people who are involved in industry. That's it. Well, it is the other way around. It is for everyone because it's affecting everybody's life.
yeah,
And you will see during my talking now, it's related. Once we talk about industry, we will talk about economy, we will talk about the lifestyle, even about the environment, about our income, it's about GDP, about everything. It's all connected. So if
yes,
we talk about industry, for let's talk about the history. What was before
yeah,
industry 1, because if we have industry 4.0, so we have industry 1.0 up to 4.0.
2, 3,
So
yeah,
yeah, there exactly 1, 2, 3, and then we still
yeah,
in 4 now. Before industry 1.0, there were lots of contributions from different, of course, great people and leaders and scientists. And I think one of the main leaders in this field was an
Tesla.
man from Arabian Arabian world.
Ah, you're
It
going
was Ibn
to, yeah.
Khaldun. Believe it or
Ah,
not,
wow.
yes.
Wow,
Uh,
yes, yes, of course.
yeah, yeah. Ibn Khaldun, he was the leader of one major concept was division of labor. Before Ibn Khaldun, people think, or they actually do like this. They once you would like to have a product, there is one worker. He is doing the whole production by himself, by his hand, from A to Z, the whole cycle
Yeah,
of production. Once Ibn
yes,
Khaldun, yes, he started to think about economy and industry. He think we have to divide the labor into different tasks and organize and shift the task to different people based on their skills. And actually, this was that he was the first one to talk about this concept. Later on, if you are familiar with Adam Smith, the father of
yes,
economics,
yes, of
yes,
course.
he actually confirmed his theory during one case study is called Ben's factory. He get into this factory and he found the workers, their productivity is like building or finishing production for 1 or 2 pens a day. See, one day they
Oh,
can finish 1 or 2 pens.
one.
So he
Okay.
break down the production cycle to different steps, and he organized the working according to the skills of the labor. The surprise is after he finished the whole day, he found the productivity increased 4,800%. So
Wow.
from 1 or 2 pieces a day to
To 5,000.
4,800,
Yes. Wow.
yeah, almost 5,000. That was
Yes.
a clear, yeah, proof that we are going into different era of manufacturing and industry. So in the world of industry, we start with industry 1.0. It started on 1070, 84. So at that time, before the industry 1.0, the whole industry is built on the power. Of course, when we talk about industry, we have to talk about its related source of energy. Before
Yes.
1.0, the source of energy was the animals and human power. That's it. You see?
Ah, okay. So
Yes,
this is
and
before
with
coal and the electricity. Yes. Yeah.
before anything, actually, it was
Yeah.
just the animal power and human power. With your hand, you can build whatever you need. Of course, he
Yes.
cannot do everything, but once they started to use the steam energy, steam power, and build the
Yes.
first steam engine, now we have Industry 1.0. We have the new concept of factory. Before that, there was no factory. There's someone who is capable to do one thing. That's it. But once they started to build that engine, they have this huge place, and lots of people are working inside that place, and they call it factory. And it was the first time in history people are around in one place to produce one thing. See,
Yes.
and of course, using the steam power, it helped actually developing new industries like steel and textile industries. That was actually the beginning of Industry 1.0. If we move to Industry 2.0, I think it started on 1850, something like that. And again, if we talk about industry, we have to combine the industry with a new source of power. In
Yes.
Industry 2.0, we have a new source of power, which is coal, oil, and natural gas.
Yeah.
And once they started to discover these resources, and they started to open new doors for new industries. And at that time, it was lots of discovering and invention. At that time, they invent telegraph and
Yeah.
phones, and
Wow.
using all of these new sources of powers and the new tools of communication, they start to build the railway. And you see,
Yeah.
the thing about railway, it helped a lot to increase the production and communication. See, before that, if you want to move one product from one area to another, you have to travel thousands of miles. But of course, with the
Yes.
railway, it gets better
It's
by
the
time.
first time
And you
saving.
see,
Yeah. Yes.
absolutely. And you know what is next is electricity. Using electricity in
I think
factories,
this
it
is
helped. Yeah,
from my point of view, this is like the best and the strongest invention in history till now. And like Nikola Tesla is like one of the best people, I think, and smartest people that ever existed.
you see, I need to emphasize what you just said, my friend.
Yeah.
Electrifying factories, according to the experts, they said it's considered the most important achievement in the 20th century.
Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
actually, it is the best achievement ever. So, actually, electricity was a better solution to run the factories instead, of course, of the steam engine and previous tools or ways of producing energy. And in the Industry 2.0, I need to highlight two big players in that field. The first one, I think he has a lot of contribution in industry, was the leader in that field, Henry Ford. Henry Ford,
Wow. Of course.
yeah, he is the father actually of assembly line and mass production. Again, Henry Ford, before that time, people think that he is the one who invented like manufacturing cars. No, before Henry Ford, there was manufacturing car facilities, and they were producing cars, but not in that huge scale. Let me tell you about Henry Ford a little bit. Like, he
Yes.
changed the scale, or let's say it in another word, the landscape of the world. Before Henry Ford, you can see on roads like 70 cars, 80 cars on street
Yeah.
for every single city, like, because it was only for the rich people who can afford buying a car.
Yes.
But once he started to build his own philosophy of production, he changed all of that. He get the price down from 850. Look at the numbers,
Yes, Musa.
$850
I
by
think
car.
we lost you a little bit. Hi, Noor. Huta,
Can,
thank you for joining us. Yes, Musa, I can hear you now.
can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
we were
okay.
talking about Henry Ford. Yes, I think he
Okay.
changed the philosophy, as you're saying, and started to
Exactly.
make the
Exactly.
cars affordable for
Yeah,
everyone.
from 850, from $850 per car to 650. It's like
Yeah.
$500 reduction. Imagine that. And it was actually feasible. It was affordable to everyone. And you see, he started to build his new philosophy, which is assembly line. I think people,
Yes.
when they think about assembly line, it seems like well, it's okay. It's a good invention. But look at this methodology. Before Henry Ford, there was one man. He's responsible for manufacturing a whole car from A to Z. Everything. There's someone only can do this job.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
it was
Yeah.
crazy. They only can produce like one car every couple of weeks, right? But now with the production line and assembly line, you can have thousands of cars out of the factory in just one day. And it
Wow.
helped, of course, the concept of mass production and reducing the cost of production. And you see, he also used the concepts of Ibn Khaldun and Adam Smith by dividing the
Division of
labor,
labor.
right?
Yes, yes,
Exactly. And he started to use the unskilled labor in activities they don't need lots of thinking and imagination.
yes,
And at that time, of course, it was a good solution because USA was going through the financial disaster at that time. And he actually introduced two new concepts along with the assembly line. Too many people they don't know about it. The first one was moving from two shifts a day to three shifts a day. You see, now the workers start to work in less time. Are you following me, my friend? Hello, Ahmed. Can you hear me? Hello, are you following? Hello, Ahmed. Can you hear me? Well,
Hello,
hello.
Musa. Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Is it clear now?
Yes, yes, we're clear now.
Okay, so we were talking about Henry Ford, right?
Yes, yes, yes. We were talking about Henry Ford. Yes,
Yes, so he introduced the new concept of moving from two shifts to three shifts. It actually supported the economy and the welfare of a labor because he has now less time to work, and introduced another concept that it is 5 day 5 US dollar a day. So he gets any
wow.
labor $5 a day. At that time was double the rate. The rate at that time was like $2.5 a day, and he was capable to provide such a high value and of course price rate because now he gets more money. He can distribute the wealth to his workers. That was actually very great from Henry Ford.
Yes,
And
uh,
moving,
yes.
yeah.
Of course, Henry Ford. Yes, as you're saying, was like father also of modern industry, and a lot of respect you will find to Henry Ford from a lot of people in the industry, car industry. Of course, I totally agree with you.
Okay, so when we talk again about we still in Industry 2.0, if you guys are following,
Yes.
so we still now from we moved from Henry Ford up to Toyota. Toyota at that time actually they started the business in textile. You see, it wasn't actually
Wow. This
in
I
cars
didn't know that.
manufacturing. Yes,
Yeah.
textile. Yes, and the father Sakichi Toyoda and the son Kichio Toyoda. The father was called actually the king of Japanese inventors,
Wow.
and he had this new methodology of it's called jidoka, which is mean that we
Yes.
can stop the machine from working if there's something wrong, if there's a quality issue, and this was one of the things we cannot find in Henry Ford model. In Henry Ford, you can produce huge quantities and just keep it in the warehouse. Maybe you can sell, maybe you cannot, you see, and so
Yeah,
you have a risk of increasing the stock.
you're
This is
having a
push system,
continuous
as you know.
continuous line from for Henry Ford. Yes, yes.
And if you have a quality issue, you only can be found by the end of the manufacturing
Production. Yeah.
batch.
Right.
Exactly. And you have to fix all the batch. You see, that's a big issue. But with Toyota, he started to think about Jitoka and Five Wise, and he advised his son after visiting USA to uh, to move the business from textile to cars. And his son started actually to benchmarking from different industries, and he paid a visit to Ford factory at that time. It was like 1954, as I recall. And he was surprised with the huge scale of production in that factory, and he was thinking that it's very difficult for him to copy the model of Henry Ford in Japan, because of course, as you know, Japan was famous of limitation in the resources, so he cannot produce in such huge quantity. So he had this genius engineer, Taishi Ono, if you know this name. The story comes. It's also a story. How did he come up with the lean manufacturing philosophy?
Yeah.
He get into a store in USA. Okay, it's called self-service store, like Carrefour, Hyper, these stores, right? And
Yes.
he was surprised once he get into the shelf. He get a product out of the shelf, and just in few seconds there's a replacement for this product on the shelf.
Yeah.
It's like
Replenishment. The start of a
replenishment
replenishment. Yes.
system, exactly. So he got the idea from a supermarket. Okay, that
Wow.
was strange. Yeah, a strange source to start the lean manufacturing, and he
Yes.
started actually to build the model of lean manufacturing, and starts, of course, to with the how to eliminate different waste. Could be, of course, out of the material, could be out of the process, could be out of the movement and waiting. Lots of things can reduce the productivity and increase, of course, the time to
The
produce any
outcome.
single
Yes.
product.
The output.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Of course, we will not talk in details about lean, but let's move again to industry. This was actually the main contributions in Industry 2.0, Henry Ford
Yeah.
and lean manufacturing.
And the
And
manufacturing.
now we move to a new era, the era
The
of
three.
Industry 3.0. It was started in 1970, something like that, and it started with the great leaders. We start with, I think, the invention of transistors. It
Yeah.
was just a great invention at that time. How to store lots of data in a very small unit.
Yes.
How to how to
I
control
think it's
and
the
store
starts of
this
the
data and
machine and the
digitally.
computers and all that. Yeah.
It comes with the great man Alan Turing. If you know this guy, he's of course he's a great man. He helped even his country UK in its war against Germany and Second War by building the Turing machine, deciphering the messages from Germany to its soldiers. Actually, he has a big contribution to win the war. You see, everything has a story, even the industry. And if we talk again about Industry 3.0, again, it comes with a new source of power, which is
Yes.
nuclear power. At that time, it was the start of using nuclear power in industries. And here comes a great leaders also, Steve Jobs and Steve
Ah,
Wozniak,
yes.
built
Apple
by, of
story.
course, Alan Turing.
Yes. Yeah.
Alan Turing actually was the man to start to think about computer science and building general purpose computer to compute and to calculate or solve an equation. But they started later on to build computers for the usage for maybe the government, maybe to universities, but never been in the hands of people. But with Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, they start to build the new invention at that time. Yeah, of course, and it's now in all people hands. It was really great
Yes.
invention, and we still working on it. People think that, of course, we are now in Industry 4.0. It's somehow similar to Industry 3.0, because in Industry 3.0, It's about the evolution of what, of technology, right? Using
Yes.
transistors, computers, robots. But Industry 4.0, we build upon these inventions. It's not a
Yes.
revolution of technology, it's revolution of information. Okay, now
Yes.
we have lots of sources of information, and we have millions and millions of terabytes, zettabytes, and it's available now, but we still cannot use. But let me tell you some facts before we move to Industry 4.0. Why now we need to move from one evolution to another? Well, when it comes to movement from one industry to another, of course, it comes with a new source of power, and which helps actually the economy. You see, before we can produce like one car in a couple of months, and later on one car in 2 weeks, and later on one car in just a few minutes. See,
Yeah.
so it helped the productivity and the welfare of the
These
people.
yes.
But even now, with this huge technologies, with the achievements we've done now in industries, we still not having the peak in productivity. I will give you examples. Currently, the global productivity is decreasing, and it's very strange. It's not in the developing countries. I'm talking even about the developed countries. The
Wow.
curve
That's
of productivity is decreasing, and
yes.
there's actually no reason about it. And it's actually affecting the GDP, the gross
Yes.
domestic product. It's decreasing, and it's affecting the welfare of the people. Let me tell you, some facts are really very strange and makes you think a lot. 50% of the people are living under the poverty threshold. They are really in poor status.
Yes.
50% of human. If we talk about medications, we have 10,000 people die every day because they don't have enough money to buy medications. Can you imagine the
Exactly.
numbers we are talking about now? With all of these technologies and evolutions, and of course internet and everything, we still suffer from things we should have from the beginning. If we talk about education as an example, we have like 250,000 children every year. They cannot have a chance to learn because they don't have
Proper
money.
education.
Uh,
Yes.
Exactly. And if we talk about the other side of people, like we have one percentage, just one, less than 1% of the people, we have more than 50% of the wallet fortune. Can you imagine this
Yes.
number? We have,
Yes.
if even if we break down this number a little bit, like we have 22 people, we have fortune more than all the women in Africa.
Wow.
Okay,
Great.
of
Great
course.
statistics, Musa. Yes.
Yeah. I can tell you the names, but all of us know the
Yeah.
names, of course, of these rich
Yes, of
guys.
course.
Okay, and it's not only about the economy, about the productivity, about the welfare of people and the community. We are hurting our environment with Industry 3.0.
Yes.
I mean, if we talk about the greenhouse gases emissions, of course, it helps the people, the planet to keep its temperature. And now with going to the crazy manufacturing style and using the old methodologies in manufacturing, now we have great emissions of greenhouse gases, and you now can feel it. How about the temperature degree at your side, my friend?
It's very hot, of course, and very humid here. Yes.
Well, even some of us could say it's normal in Middle East, but imagine
Yes.
Russia as an example. Imagine Canada
Yeah.
as an example. It's crazy what is happening there actually because of the increase in the
The
temperature.
climate change,
And
of course, is happening, yes, due to the emissions, and I think that's why we started to talk. We hear about the term of sustainability and the green supply chain
exactly,
and all that. Yes,
and actually, this is a door to a new terminology, which is sustainability, and people maybe call it like circular energy.
circular
Circular
energy.
energy means that we have to use the wastes of manufacturing and use it again in industry. And this is the way we can increase our productivity. If we go
Yes,
back again to Industry 4.0, which actually started like less than 10 years ago in Germany in
yeah,
2012, and that
2011,
concept was
2012.
published.
Yes, yes, Yeah.
Exactly. In German,
Correct.
it was published at that time. They talk about, okay, now we have a new terminology, which is Industry 4.0. We have different methodologies, different tools we can use in order to increase our productivity. And of
Yes.
course, lots of tools and technologies, including, of course, big data, Internet of Things, robots, machine learning, deep learning, blockchain, of course, lots of things actually now is used to improve productivity and human life and environment at the same time. I think I took too much, my friend. So, how about
No,
your
it's
inputs?
great. I think it's great. Of course, Musa, I totally like what you said and all the examples, and I think all the audience with us really enjoying that, because really the Industry 4.0, as you said, it's all about information, the quick flow of information, which is very important in supply chain from one node to another, from supplier to consumer. The faster the information will move, the faster everything will move, the production, the everything, this revolution, of course, and we're seeing the automation, the drones now are used in physical counting in warehouses. Warehouses are fully automated now in some industries that people are doing only sorting, for example, and all other operations are automated. So yeah, I think it is. Some people feel maybe it did not start, but it started really Industry 4.0 in some areas and some countries. Maybe you'll feel it more than another regions.
Absolutely, my friend. Let me give you more facts about how important is the tools or technologies of Industry 4.0. I give you the now numbers is really scary numbers.
Yeah.
If this is according to the World Trade, they say that the World Trade of counterfeited goods, which
Yes.
is goods are not authentic, not original goods, is now almost 2.1 trillion US dollar. That's the volume of the trade. Can you imagine 2.1
Wow.
trillion US dollar?
Yes.
Yeah, and they mentioned that, like in the field of medication, in the medicine, pharmaceutical, the
Yeah.
volume of the counterfeit goods reached up to 30% in the developing countries. Can you imagine this?
No.
Like 30% of the medicine arrived to some of the African countries are not authentic, not original medicine, and
Yes.
could actually hurt people and could maybe cause some disease. And actually, this is what's happening now. I give you another percentage. Like we have 600 million persons. Look at the number: 600 million persons got diseases of having contaminated food. Not now we are talking about different thing, not about the medication, about food itself. Because now, once you buy one product from the supermarket, like an apple or even a can of food, you are not sure about the origin of this food, right? You don't know. You don't
Yeah.
know who produced it, how it was shipped, how it was stored, like, and you never know the reason you got, of course, God forbid, sick later on. Could be the reason of storage, could be the reason of using chemicals in production and many things actually. So out of the 600 people who got sick, we have more than 500,000 people die every year. You can imagine
Oh,
this. Why? Because we cannot trace the origin of the product itself. It's
yes.
crazy. And that's why lots of people now are using different technology, including, for example, blockchain.
The
I was talking
blockchain.
about
The
different.
blockchain, of course. Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
talked about blockchain in different videos before, and one of the biggest examples is Walmart. Walmart,
Yeah.
they are implementing now with IBM a new technology in order to trace the origin of the food itself up from the source to the customer. We can trace what are all the activities happen on the product, and you see, they managed to move the tracing in order before using the blockchain, in order to know the origin and all the activities happen on the process. They need like from 7 to 10 days to track the product. Okay, now they can have the whole traceability
Minutes.
activities in 2.2 seconds. Can you
Wow.
imagine this?
Even 2.2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, in seconds, in
Wow.
seconds.
That's amazing. Of course, this is the power of technology and the quick moving of information, the flow of information. That's amazing. Of course, amazing what's happening in the blockchain and Industry
Yeah, it
4.0.
was. even in logistics, my friend, even
Yes.
logistics, using blockchain now, we have different shipping companies, big players in the market like Maersk and others. They are using new
Yeah.
platforms, and it actually increase the visibility of the product. You want to know where's your product, right? If from the
Yes.
source, was it shipped or not? Where is it now? And how about the customs clearance, the documents moving, all the activities in one, and you can see it in one single platform. It's really amazing, and it's really helping you. And actually, they say the experts in that field, the blockchain will increase the world GDP by 5%, and this is actually a big number if we talk only about
Yes.
one tool, one technology.
Exactly.
So it's, yeah, and it will help reducing the cost as well by 15% globally, and
Yeah.
that's actually a huge percentage. I mean, if even if we talk in numbers, 15% is like 5 trillion US dollar, five
Wow.
trillion US dollar. Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, we are now in the beginning of using these technologies. I think in the next days, if you are not going to follow these technologies, others,
Yes,
your
exactly.
competitors will do, and you will lose your feet on the market.
Exactly, exactly. That's really true, Musa. I second your voice. So I think if you're not going to follow and you're going to stick to the old technology or the old ways of making work, you'll not be able to compete after some time. And we've seen this in a lot of eras before. Thank you, Chair, of course, for joining us. Abdelrazak Ramul, we heard you. Unfortunately, of course, we're running out of time. It's a question, it's a very good question, but needs a really long time. But we'll come back to you for sure, me and Musa with brief answer about this question.
Wow,
It's
that's a big one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a big one, really, and it really needs engineering answer, I think. But thank you for coming and sharing with us. And of course, we'll come back to you with the answer for that as we're running out of little bit out of time. Musa, before we go, of course, we need some advice to our students who are eager to learn about supply chain and what are the sources, how they can reach you or reach some people who are teaching on supply chain, and what are the sources that they can learn from, trusted sources that they can learn from.
Well, of course, nowadays the market is so open. You can
Yes,
find lots of sources. Actually, yeah. If you like class training, can find everywhere. But and online training as well, it's everywhere. You have free courses. You have lots of useful platforms you can use. Of course, on the platform like LinkedIn, you can meet lots of great guys who can speak and teach
yes,
supply chain absolutely. And but you see, I would like, of course, in the beginning of the journey of learning, the student or anyone who would like to start learning, it shouldn't be the first one who I'm going to learn from. He start to discover from him his insights, what he's going to do with this learning. I mean,
yes.
I see this actually lots of in lots of people. They think, okay, I'm going to study this certificate, CSB. Okay,
Yeah,
why? Because I need to put this name in my CV. Okay,
in
this
my
certificate
city.
name in my CV.
Yes,
Yeah, but you see, in the first day of working, and if you are not that professional, if you don't know how to implement and use these methodologies and information you got from the certificate, they will figure out, they will find out that you are not qualified enough. So you have to
yes,
understand why you are going to this course, why you need to learn this course or this kind of terminologies or information. Once you decide what you are going to do, and actually you need somehow, maybe if you cannot discover by yourself, you can ask for mentors, like advisors, like great guys, like my friend here, Master Ahmed Al Hamamsi. He can
thank
help you.
you.
Anyone from the great leaders we can see on this great platform. We have to find out first what we should do with this information. Once we know that what we need to do, what we should do, like if I'm fascinated with the planning, then I can direct you to some certain areas to start learning about planning and so on. So first you have to decide what you're gonna do with this learning. Then you start with searching for mentors, asking for advice. And actually, I think Ahmed, also yourself, you can see lots of questions comes from your audience, asking you about what
Yeah,
they gonna do for the in their career,
exactly.
your advices, and so on. Yeah, that's the start. Actually, we have to start with asking about advices, and then we can. I mean, the experts in this field, they can direct the people to certain courses who are really professional, who can enrich his knowledge in that area. Of course, in the field of training, lots lots of courses. There are some specific courses in procurement, others in planning, others in end-to-end cycle and supply chain. So totally depends on the people. But you see, again it totally depends on the person itself. He has to
Yes,
start to believe in him, in himself, and start to discover his insight and work hard to learn. Now it's a very competitive world. If you try to like apply for a job, how many people will apply with you at the same time, right? Like hundreds sometimes. Hundreds
yes,
of people are going to
hundreds
apply
and
for the same
thousands
job.
sometimes. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, true.
absolutely. So you have no choice but improving yourself. That's it. Starting with the
Yes,
basics, like the language, like the tools, the basic tool of computers, and now it's mandatory actually to use such tools and get maybe more knowledge in the field you are doing. But you see, even I always give this also advice. It's about the segment you are now. If you are junior or senior or going to the middle management or maybe a managers or more. So every single segment has different directions. So like if we talk about junior, you have to know about the basic knowledge and you have to extend your view of the operation, know about the cycle. If you have middle management, then you need some more knowledge about how to control the operation, not about the operation
yeah.
itself, how to control and manage the operation. If you are in the managerial level, maybe you need to some insights about the strategic thinking
Design and
itself.
the strategic thinking and strategic
Exactly.
sourcing and all that. Yes, yes.
So it's totally depends on the level of the training. That's it.
That's a great answer, Musa, of course, and I'll second your voice. It all depends on you. You have to have the willingness. You have to understand your why. Why are you doing that? And believe in your skills. Believe in yourself. Try and try again, and always be trying. Always be learning. A lot of areas to learn from, also, and a lot of platforms to learn from. A lot of experienced people like. Always you can I think get in touch with my friend Ahmed Mousa here and a lot of great people in supply chain we learn from yeah, this is the starting point. That, as you said, the levels, of course, and you must, according to each level and according to experience, you need to focus where are you going to learn and find the source of information. Musa, yeah, I'm really happy to connect with you. A lot of great stories and inspiring stories about your past and about your experience and about, of course, your passion in Industry 4.0. And really, we got the history of the whole history, I think, of industry in this 1 hour. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for all the audience. Thank you, Abdurazak Ramol, and we promise you, of course, we're going to get back to you with a brief answer, of course, about this amazing question. Thank you for sharing for us, and thank you for all our audience for joining us. And stay tuned next week, of course, and the coming weeks we'll be having a lot of interesting guests. Thank you, Musa, again. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, everybody, and see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.